Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. I'm so happy you're here. I'm still a little froggy, but I have my tea and honey. And today I have raspberry tea, and it's yummy. So I just thought we'd have a little chat today. You can chat with me in the comments below. If you have something great to say and tell us all, we'd love to hear from you. But first, I got to get rid of this frog. Okay, that's better. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about today. I wanted to talk about why I am not a minimalist. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the minimalist lifestyle and the whole thing about minimalism, but for me, in all honesty, I can be a bit obsessive. If I like something, I really like it. Like if I like a shirt and it fits me nicely and it's comfortable and they have it in 5 colors, then I would like to have that shirt in 5 colors. Of course, I've really had to put the brakes on because my life has turned into a very frugal life, which it wasn't always. So when you're a bit passionate about things, like I had one dog and I loved her so much. And I knew she was getting older and her time with me was limited. There's that frog again. Excuse me. Well, I have 3 dogs now because, like I said, I tend to be a bit obsessive. When I love something, I really love it. So I've always kind of been this way in my life. When I started painting, I had to have every color under the rainbow. I had to have canvases, brushes, whatever I thought I might need. So I became obsessive about painting. And what happens with me is, and maybe some of you have this same, I don't even call it a problem. I'm okay with it. It's part of who I am. But sometimes I get so wound up in something I'm passionate about that I burn myself out on it, and then I have to put it on the shelf for a while. Usually, 95% of the time, I will pick it up again. But I think I spend so much energy on whatever it is I'm passionate about that, like I said, I burn myself out a bit. So when I started making jewelry, I did the same thing. I bought beads and beads and beads and glass to fuse, and I bought a kiln, and I loved doing it. And I'm going to pick it up again, but I had to put it on the back shelf because, like I said, I burn myself out on these things. So I'm trying very, very hard now that I'm older and hopefully wiser to tone it down a bit so that I'm not so passionate or obsessive about things. There's nothing wrong with being passionate about things, whether it's a cause or a person or whatever it is you become passionate about. So another thing I wanted to talk about today was things that I learned from my mother and father. Now, my mother is 91. She lived through the war. She lived through the Great Depression. There were times when they went hungry. They had to leave their homes um, because we're from Europe. So, things were getting bombed out. It was getting very dangerous. And they had to travel on foot and or a bicycle or whatever they had. They couldn't just hop in their car like, okay, the zombie apocalypse is happening, so I'm leaving town in my car and throwing my go bag in. They didn't have that. So meat was very scarce. It was a luxury when you could have meat, and usually it was saved for the man in the family because he's the one that had to have the strength to carry on and keep his family safe. So a lot of these things, even though I never lived through them, thank God, but a lot of these things my mother passed on to me in as far as her frugality and her not wasting things. My mother can stretch a dollar from here to Los Angeles. In fact, when my parents first immigrated here, and we immigrated from Germany, they had nothing. My father spoke a little bit of English. My mother only knew baby because I was her baby, and she came over. We came on the boat. Yes, we actually are boat people. We came over on the boat, and it was in November. It was, from what I remember them telling me, it wasn't a pleasant trip because the seas were so rough and it was cold. And but we made it. We came in and saw that Statue of Liberty, and we embraced the American lifestyle. We became citizens. We learned to speak English, um, and but anyway, these are some of the things that I picked up from my parents because they were so frugal. And like I said, with my mother, the only thing she had brought with her, of course, they had a steamer trunk and with some of their possessions, but you can't put the world in a steamer trunk. And we lived with my aunt and uncle for a while because they sponsored us, and they had come over way before we did. I'm not sure exactly of the time frame, but it was difficult for my parents because they had to leave their parents behind. They left their homes behind. Housing was very scarce back then because so many things were bombed out. And we actually lived with my grandparents until I was 4. And they had a one-bedroom apartment. They had a living room that they heated with a little coal stove, and a kitchen that was sort of like an eating kitchen, but you also had your area where you had your stove, and it was very simple. Talk about minimalist living. They did it, but I know it was very hard on my grandparents when my parents left because at the time I was the only grandchild that they had, and it was rough. I can't even imagine leaving that far from home, 2 young people. My mother was 24, my father was 32, I believe, and they left everything behind to come and live here. And but like I said, a lot of the things that happened to them during the war was kind of a residual lifestyle, and they didn't waste anything. They did their garden, they did their own renovations. My father was extremely handy, a very strong man, not only physically but mentally. Um, He got a job. They saved money like there's no tomorrow. And that's sort of what some of it rubbed off on me. I was never a big, huge saver. I did save. I knew I needed to retire, and I was able to do that. So I did save enough for that. But anything that was extra, I spent it. You know, I wanted my kitchen gadgets and clothes, but I've kind of done a reverse on that now, and now I'm very frugal, and hopefully I did enough to get me through the rest of my life. And but anyway, yeah, so those are some of the things I learned from my parents. And of course, our children, who are now in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, most of them have not gone through any of those things. And it's just a totally different world now these days. But having said that, now we're all at a point where we're stocking up. We're getting our pantries, which my mom and dad always did stock up on what they needed. You know, my mom did canning and she cooked with the pressure cooker and didn't waste food. But it's kind of coming full circle now because with everything that's going on, I don't want to talk too much about that because then this becomes a controversial video and I don't want to do that. But a lot of us are stocking up and saving and trying to use up all the food we have because you never know. Hard times could be on the way. There could be some food shortages, an interruption in the transportation of the food. The farmers are struggling. They're having a terrible time. There's fires going on. And so it's sort of becoming a different world. And a lot of us, including the younger generation, is having to learn frugality again. And it's becoming a thing. So anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And how about you guys? Tell me your story down below. Let's share some stories and have a chat. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you're enjoying your day. It's raining here, but there's going to be 2 more days that are going to be lovely, tomorrow and Friday. And I'm hoping to finally put my garden to bed and call it a day until next spring. And then I'll be getting out my gardening notebook and putting my seeds in there. I want to do a video on that too because I have some ideas about storing your seeds and making garden plans, and I'd like to share that with you guys. So anyway, I will say adieu for now, and I just want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.